अशेष जन्मोपचितं मलं धियः सद्य क्षिणोत्यन्वहम् एदति सती यथा पदांगुष्ट विनिसृता सरे यत्पादसेवाभिरुचिस्तपस्विनाम् अशेष जन्मोपचितं मलं धियः सद्य क्षिणोत्यन्वहम् एदति सती यथा पदांगुष्ट विनिसृता सरेत्. Translation prepared by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. By the inclination to serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, suffering humanity can immediately cleanse the dirt which has accumulated in their heart, in their minds, during innumerable births. Like the Ganges water which emanates from the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord, such a process immediately cleanses the mind, and thus spiritual or Krishna consciousness gradually increases. Herbert. In India, one can actually see that a person who takes a bath in the Ganges waters daily is almost free from all kinds of diseases. A very respectable Brahmana in Calcutta never took a doctor's medicine. Even though he sometimes felt sick, he would not accept medicine from the physician, but would simply drink Ganges water, and he was always cured within a very short time. The glories of Ganges water are known to Indians and to ourselves also. The river Ganges flows by Calcutta. Sometimes within the water there are many stools and other dirty things which are washed away from neighboring mills and factories. But still, thousands of men take bath in the Ganges water, and they are very healthy as well as spiritually inclined. That is the effect of Ganges water. The Ganges is glorified because it emanates from the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, if one takes to the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, or takes to Krishna consciousness, he is immediately cleansed of many dirty things which have accumulated in his innumerable births. We have seen that in spite of very black record of their past lives, persons who take to Krishna consciousness become perfectly cleansed of all dirty things and make spiritual progress very swiftly. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj advises that without the benediction of the Supreme Lord, one cannot make advancement either in so-called morality, economic development, sense gratification. One should therefore take to the service of the Lord or Krishna consciousness, and thus very soon become a perfect man, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati. Being a responsible king, Prithu Maharaj recommends that everyone take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus be immediately purified. Lord Shri Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering unto him, one is immediately relieved of all sinful reactions. As Krishna takes away all the sinful reactions of a person immediately upon his surrender unto him, similarly the external manifestation of Krishna, the representative of Krishna, who acts as the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, takes all the resultant action of the sinful life of the disciple immediately after the disciple's initiation. Thus, if the disciple follows the principles instructed by the spiritual master, he remains purified and is not contaminated by the material infection. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore stated that the spiritual master who plays the part of Krishna's representative has to consume all the sinful reactions of his disciple. Sometimes a spiritual master takes the risk of being overwhelmed by the sinful reactions of the disciple and undergoes a sort of tribulation due to their acceptance. Sri Chaitanya Babu therefore advised that one not accept many disciples. The next verse. Vinirdutashe puman asanga vijnana vishesha viryavan yadangrimule kritaketana punar nasam smritim klesha baham prapadyate. When a devotee takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is completely cleansed of all misunderstanding or mental speculation, and he manifests renunciation. This is possible only when one is strengthened by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Once having taken shelter at the root of the lotus feet of the Lord, a devotee never comes back to this material existence, which is full of threefold miseries. As stated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka instructions, by the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Or by the process of hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord, one's mind is gradually cleansed of all dirt. Due to our material associations since time immemorial, we have accumulated heaps of dirty things in our minds. The total effect of this takes place when a living entity identifies himself with this body and thus entrapped by the stringent laws of material nature and put into the cycle of repeated birth and death under the false impression of bodily identification. When one is strengthened by practicing Bhakti Yoga, his mind is cleansed of this misunderstanding and he is no longer interested in material existence or in sense gratification. Bhakti or devotional service is characterized by Vairagya and Jnana. Jnana refers to understanding that one is not this body, and Vairagya means disinterest in sense gratification. These two primary principles of separation from material bondage can be realized on the strength of Bhakti Yoga. Thus, when a devotee is fixed in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he will never come back to this material existence after quitting his body, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. In this verse, Vijnana is specifically important. Jnana, the knowledge of the spiritual identity that one attains when he does not consider himself to be the body, is explained in Bhagavad Gita as Brahmabhuta. The revival of spiritual realization. In the conditioned state of material existence, one cannot be spiritually realized because he identifies himself materially. The understanding of the distinction between material existence and spiritual existence is called jnana. After coming to the platform of jnana or Brahmabhuta state, one ultimately comes to the devotional service in which he completely understands his own position and the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This understanding is explained here as Vijnana Vishesha. The Lord says, therefore, that knowledge of Him is Vijnana or science. In other words, when one strengthened by scientific knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his position of liberation is guaranteed. In Bhagavad Gita 9.2, the science of devotional service is described as Pratyakshavagaman Dharmyam, directly understanding of the principles of religion by realization. By practicing Bhakti Yoga, one can directly perceive his advancement in spiritual life. In other practices like Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, one may not be confident about his progress. But in Bhakti Yoga, one can become directly aware of his progress in spiritual life. Just as a person who eats can understand that his hunger is satisfied, our false appetite for enjoyment and lordship of the material world is due to false prominence of passion and ignorance. By Bhakti Yoga, these two qualities are diminished and one becomes situated in the mode of goodness. Gradually surpassing the mode of goodness, one is situated in pure goodness, which is not contaminated by the material qualities. When thus situated, a devotee no longer has any doubts. He knows that he will not come back to this material world. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरकृषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं प्रज्ञं लङ्कायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. At the onset, I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, the enemy senior devotees. I seek all of their blessings, and I'll try to share some things what I have heard from my superiors. So this is telling about in this there are many important points on which we can discuss. One is about the how the Ganges which flows from the lotus feet of the Lord, that is the glory of the Ganges and how purifying it is. And the second thing is, if the water which has washed the feet of the Lord is so glorious and so potent, then what to speak of the lotus feet of the Lord itself. And also this another point which can also be discussed is that by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they become so glorious that they are ready to purify others who take shelter of those devotees who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. This is few points which can be discussed from the first sloka and the second one also. That when anybody takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they're cleansed completely. That is, when they take to path of bhakti yoga, then jnana and vairagya automatically come. They don't have to extraneously try to attain jnana or try to do some renunciation. So just by taking bhakti yoga, other two will come as a byproduct. And then if one takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, then one doesn't have to come back to this world, which is of the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries is Adhyatmika Klesha, that means from the disturbances, suffering from one's own mind and the body. Adi Bhautika Klesha, which is from the external sources, and Adi Devika Klesha, which is from our surrounding and the inflicted by the Devatas. These are few points which we can discuss. But as Srila Prabhupada narrates here, the glory of the Mother Ganga, that we all know in the pastime of Lord Vamandev, when Vamanadev asked Bali Maharaj for the 3 footsteps of land, Bali Maharaj says, okay, you take it. And then Vamandev with 1 foot, he covers all the earthly planet and the lower planetary systems. And with the second, he covers all the upper planetary systems, as well as with the body, all the surroundings. So when he did that, when he covered the entire universe, at that time, his toenail pierced the coverings of the universe, which is very thick. It is said, if you read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, even in the 11th canto also comes, that how there are different layers in this, like the Brahmanda, and each subsequent layer is 10 times thicker than the previous layer. Earth, water, air, fire, ether, and then like that comes. So then those are like so thick, and that was pierced by the toenail of the Lord. At that time, the Ganga flows, washing the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And that's why, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, this we have seen when we go to Mayapur or Vrindavan. Although there is so much of dirt, sometimes we see in the Vrindavan when you go, the Yamuna is flowing very small, and it's completely not even normal water, muddy water. Muddy water is one thing which we see in the rainy season, but it's dark, blackish, knowing that must be the sewage water or the industrial waste might have come to that. But still, the devotees or even the common people who come as for pilgrimage, they nevertheless, they never think that, oh, what is this dirty water? They take few drops and put it on their head and put few drops on their tongue. Understanding that although externally it may be appearing that it is contaminated, but it is spiritually still very, very, very potent. So that's why even when we do the daily worship or anything, when we have the Ganga water, we directly put in the achaman. Otherwise, we with the mantra Gange Namune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalasin Sannidhim Kuru, we request them to come and recite because they purify the water for our further purification. The same way, when one has that opportunity to take bath in these holy rivers, it is said that just by taking bath in these holy rivers, the sins of many, many births are gone. Then somebody may ask that, why is that? Although I might have taken bath in the Ganga, Yamuna many times, not only once, still I am not feeling that purification. It many times it may be because that we don't have the trust or the faith in that the power of it. And second thing, once having been purified, what is our next step? What have we taken? That also matters. We see in the case of the Jagai and Madai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purified both of them by embracing, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed them, sin no more. So the same way, after we have taken bath, what is our consciousness, how we are conducting our life also plays a major role. But otherwise, knowingly or unknowingly, we have our lot of sinful reactions are gone. And because of carrying the baggage of sinful actions since time immemorial, that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, Anadi karma phale pade bhavar nava jale taribare nadi ki upay. Anadi karma phale. Anadi means which cannot be traced back. Karma phala, because of my own actions and reactions. Pade bhava arnava jale. Pade means I have fallen in this bhava arnava. In this bhava arnava means this ocean. Bhava arnava jale. Taribare nade ke upay. And to cross over, I'm not able to see any upay or a idea. How can I get out of this material world? And because of that, what has happened is that because of our sense gratificatory tendencies which we have accumulated since time immemorial, the enjoying mentality is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And that forms a kind of layer, thick layer on the mirror of our consciousness or the heart. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compares it to the mirror. Cheto Dharpana. Dharpana means the mirror. And Cheta, that is the consciousness or Chitta. And when it is covered by this dirt, what is this dirt? In simple terms, The misidentification with the body, I am this body, and things belonging to this are mine. Aham mameti. This binds us to this material world. The moment I should be the center of attraction, or I should be the center of whatever I survey, and everything, whatever I see in connection with me, that is mine. That comes, the mind constantly thinks of how I can be happy, or how I can keep my things with me, or how can I give pleasure, or how can I take pleasure from those which are in relation with me. And because of this constant meditation, no other thoughts come. And because of this, the cycle of, again, Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Whatever we think at the time of the death, then we come back to the material world with those things. So that way the cycle continues. But at the same time, while having this thick layer of the ignorance, which is coming over and over and over again from millions of lifetimes, that one needs to remove it, but it is not so easily removed by any other processes. So just like sometimes all of us have the experience, then when we park our car outside, because of the dirt, as in when the other vehicles passes through and all, the if you don't clean it daily, on the mirror, a few dust particles are accumulated. And again, if you don't clean it for 1, 2, 3 days, then it becomes a little more and it will be hazy. We can see also at the same time we cannot. But if you don't clean, it becomes much thicker. And another beautiful example which you can see, that when you go to the kitchen, in the kitchen, on the platform, or especially the wall, the tiles which are just behind the stove, wherein when we put the oil and all, the chong, that time the fumes come out, and few particles of the fume or the oil that goes and settles on these tiles. Recently I had gone to meet parents, and I was in kitchen, and I just saw that behind it had become little this the sticky, and mother, like whatever she could reach out, she had cleaned, but the little top portion she could not reach, and also like no, she had not taken much this one to reach till there. It was a little difficult. So I just thought, okay, let me just a little bit clean, and I just took the one cloth and tried to wipe. Nothing happened. Only it became a little bit, the cloth became dirty, and that's it. And I took little scrubber and tried to wipe it with the scrubber, wetting it. It didn't go. I took little soap and tried. It didn't go. Then I took the vim and I diluted it, and then I had to take, that's what I mean to say, that like no, I had to take different this one to clean it fully. The same way, in our consciousness also, the all this anarthas, kama, krodha, logo, moha, mada, matsarya, they are so strongly sticking that it doesn't allow us to see who I am, what is my real identity, and what I should be doing. It doesn't allow us to see that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. How can I be centered around me and mine? Rather, everything belonging to mine is going to go away just after some time. It's just a matter of time. So why should I should do the needful, but why should I be attached to it? Rather, I should be attached to that which is permanent. Because till the time we are attached or hankering, or be with some things which are temporary, ultimately it is going to go away. Only things which are permanent will be of some value. When we understand it and then try to see who is the permanent thing, that is Krishna. And when we try to establish that relationship with Krishna, because this body is temporary, I am not this body, but spirit soul is permanent. Krishna tells to Arjuna that, Arjuna, you may not be aware of it, but I know the past, present, and future. And you are there, and you will be there. So that way the soul is permanent and Krishna is permanent. So that way what I need to be doing is to link the Atma with the Paramatma. That is nothing but the yoga. So that can be done easily with the performance of the Bhakti Yoga than any other paths. And when we try to understand the Sambandha Jnana, who am I? Who is Supreme Lord? What is the relationship between us? And how to, by what means I can get out of this material world and go to that eternal abode. And this Sambandha Jnana will help us to apply. And when you apply it, then in the next verse, Prabhupada is also telling about the Jnana and Vijnana. One thing is, the Jnana is there, the knowledge. And when we put into action or apply in our life, that becomes the Vijnana, the realization. And then we'll be able to see the result, that is the Prayojana, that is the association of the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, because of being so many lifetimes of putting all the unwanted things, it becomes difficult for us to remove that covering. And it doesn't go so easily. All of us, we have experienced somewhere or the other in the kitchen or in the home, and something is not clean for a long time. It takes a lot of effort, and at the same time it needs its own cleaning agent. I cannot just put anything and everything and try to clean. The same way, to cleanse our chitta, heart, what is needed is the holy name of the Supreme Lord. So that's why this is known from the to all our ancestors, that when we go to the holy places and when we take shelter of these holy rivers, and by taking bath, slowly, we are giving up this our sinful reactions. And by continuously doing, then one day we may come to the senses. That's why we take the Charana Amrita, that is the water which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. That, so by taking that, even while taking also, while giving also, you might have heard the recite few mantras. Akala Kalaharanam, Sarvavyadi Nivaranam, Samasta Durtopashanam, Shri Vishnu Padodakam, Pavanam Shivam, Padarpitam Shirasa, Pavanam Shivam. I am not able to click the last part. So by taking this Charanamrita, and when we accept it and put it on our head, it's purifying. The same way, anything Krishna in the Ishopanishad also it comes. Krishna is called as the antiseptic and proactylic. That is, he cannot be infected, and he is completely pure. Just like the sun may put its light on the land, and on the land people may come and pass stool, urine and all. The sun absorbs and purifies the everything. But by that, the sun will never become contaminated. Rather, water comes in touch with the sun, becomes purified. The same way, when we come in touch with the Supreme Lord, then we become purified. There are many examples of this, that how whoever comes in touch with the purest of the things, they become purified. And Krishna is being the pure, anything which is in relation to Krishna also becomes pure. It is same for even the devotees also. When the devotees, they come close to Krishna, and when they become closer and closer, they carry Krishna in their heart. And when they carry the Lord in the heart, they also become powerful like the Supreme Lord, and they purify the wherever they go. That's what Yudhishthira Maharaj glorifies Vidura when he comes to this one. That you are holy place personified. Tirti kurvanti tirthani swantastena gadabhrita. The holy places become holy because of the holy people traveling there. Otherwise, generally the common people, they go to the holy place for the sake of to dump their sins. Then all the holy rivers and they were wondering, it is the place where everybody comes and pours their sins on us. What will happen to us? Then the Lord told, don't worry, there my pure devotees will come and they take away those sins, or they will purify those places. So that is the thing. And this we can see, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it tells that, what is it? Kirata hunanda pulinda pulkasha, abhira shumba yavana kashadaya, yanyecha papa yadapashraya shreya, shuddhanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. That all these races which have been mentioned, they all, when they take shelter of the lotus feet of the pure devotees who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, they also become purified, whatever may be their background. So that is the glory of the Supreme Lord. And because the Lord is very Bhakta Vatsala, he is compassionate. Because of his compassion only, we see that this whole material world, if we, Prabhupada also writes in the first and second chapter also, that it is made for our own benefit, not our own, I should say, my own benefit. Because I have the desire to enjoy, and it was my desire that I want to enjoy in certain way. Krishna made this facility here. Okay, you go to this place where you can enjoy. Otherwise, in the Goloka, I cannot enjoy with Krishna the way I want. So for my pleasure, Krishna created this whole universe. And all the people surrounding me, everything is created for according to my desire. And then after giving that, Lord again, he comes as in different varieties of form to attract us back, to make us understand this is not the place where we should be living. This is a filthy place. Come back to my eternal abode. And because Lord is so compassionate, making all this arrangement, his devotees also become compassionate. And they don't mind taking the karma of others and ready to suffer oneself for the sake of others. So that is the glory of the great devotees of the Lord. And on behalf of the Lord, they take this role of becoming the spiritual master and try to take the karma of the disciples who are ready to follow them. And for that, spiritual master doesn't ask or anything, or he doesn't say that you should give me money or do this or do that. He just, none of our spiritual masters are every day coming and asking for give me that, give me this, or like you should pay me that or do this. Nothing. What they ask is like, no, they are just asking us that please chant Krishna's name and follow this regulated principles. Srila Prabhupada also did the same thing. Prabhupada went to West. It was a desire of his spiritual master, who was carrying the desire of his spiritual master. The same way, if you go, then it is a desire of the Supreme Lord that everybody should come back to the eternal abode. And they were ready to undergo any amount of risk. So one devotee had shared this example, which was really quite easy to understand, that I might have shared before also, still I would like to share, that which you can easily relate, that how the great souls take this service to take the sins of common people and ready to suffer oneself. That he was telling that we can imagine, just imagine that we are traveling in a train or in a bus, and it is completely packed. I have got my seat, which is reserved, and I'm sitting in that comfortably. And how many times a thought comes, or even the thought is secondary. Even if somebody asks us to generally, can you give me some space? At least I have personally, I've done, try to first say no, space is not there, this, that, and all. But still, if they request, okay, keeping myself comfortable, give little space. He will have only half of his one thigh can come on the seat. It is like some naam ke wasi. Very rarely that, okay, sometimes when a elderly lady or a mother with small child is there, we may tell, okay, please sit, and we may stand. That too for some time. The moment they get down, it's not that anyone else can. If someone else is sitting, sir, this is my seat. I had just given them. That means it is not so easy to take the just this difficulty or the tapasya of giving comfort to others for just few hours in our life. But the great souls, they are ready to take the sins, and they pray to the Lord, mighty Lord, I am ready to suffer, I am ready to take the sin of this jiva, please you accept him. So that is the glory of the spiritual masters, what they are doing. And for that, no, it is our responsibility that whatever they are expecting us to do, we should be doing it, in the sense that they are not expecting anything big. Just when Srila Prabhupada has asked that, Prabhupada, what do you want all of us to do? How can we please you? Prabhupada said, you just love Krishna. So that way they don't want anything. They want just we practice our spiritual life sincerely, and with that trust, they are accepting us. So that way it becomes all the more great responsibility on all of us that we remain proper disciples, by which we accept the mercy which is flowing through them. Otherwise, it is only when we remember the glories of the Supreme Lord or the spiritual master, we may be able to get strength to say no to the enjoy tendencies or the desires what we have accumulated from the past. Otherwise, it's very easy to again fall back to those sense gratificatory desires. So we have seen that how Srila Prabhupada went to the West, taking so much of trouble, and people were hippies. That means they were ready to do anything just to get pleasure in their life. They wanted something higher. They're not satisfied with the way of living. And when Prabhupada went, and Prabhupada was ready to undergo all the difficulties and was ready to suffer for their sake, and Prabhupada gave them this spiritual life, and they accepted it. And just like the Jagai and Madai, although they were so sinful, when they take shelter of the Supreme Lord and Nityantra forgave them, they become such wonderful Vaishnavas that people would, because of the previous experiences, they had become so humble, they would be standing at the ghat and they would, please forgive us. And people were so much troubled previously that they would take a stone and throw at the Jagai and Madai, and it would hit their head and blood would flow. But still they would take the stone and give it back to them and tell, I have caused so much of suffering, you can hit me more. And seeing their heart would melt. That was the transformation which happened. The same way, when one takes shelter of the devotees who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, one can become easily purified. This way in the life of so many of Prabhupada disciples. There was one, his name was Chris Matthews. This is a real story which he, because of the association of his friends and all, he started taking the drugs and got into all those things. And he could not come out, and he started doing all the wrong things just to get the drugs and to satisfy his desires. But later on, he was put in the jail, death sentence was given. And in the jail, somehow he came across a person, devotees, and he got Bhagavad Gita and he started reading it. And then he became mesmerized and he went on and he started chanting. And then later on, his life got transformed. And after coming out, he started serving back and started preaching to the prisoners. There's whole now in ISKCON, there's something called as prison ministry. ISKCON prison ministry, wherein they regularly go to different prisons and they preach. Chandramani Maharaj is also one of them. And there is one whole book written on this whole, the transformation of the people. I was just going through one of the this one, that wherein one person, he is there inside the jail, and for some crime what he has done, and there he was writing in the letter that it is so difficult, so much of in the heat we have to work and all those things are there, but I'm seeing the hand of like no Radharani, and if this is what she wants me to undergo, I'm ready to undergo. And there he is writing that my only refuge is chanting of the holy name. And even at different occasions, I was amazed to see that how there is so much of change in my own life, that once a black man in the jail, another inmate, he came and kicked me. And I fell apart, and I could have also, it would have been a just a instinct that I would have hit him because of the racial matter. But so I didn't do anything. I just pushed him down and I just told, leave now. And he said, I don't know how I didn't react at that instance. Maybe it is because of the chanting and it was the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And later on, the one of the group gang leader of that black people, he came and he said, it is really very amazed. We were amazed to see that he appreciated that although you could have hit him, he was down, you were on top of him, but still you didn't do anything. So they were also amazed. So that way, even in today, not to what to speak of long back, even this changes are happening. And in that, he writes in that letter that when I was reading the Prabhupada book, I'm not able to read fully, but little by little, I'm just nothing I could do but tears roll from my eyes, hearing what he has done for myself. It's like, no, he's there. He's like, whatever he has done, it is only for myself. So that way, there are many other cases wherein in Russia also, one person who was a butcher, he just by reading one page of, like no, one page he got Prabhupada's SSR book. Just by reading that one page, he got so much enlightened and transformed that he gave up his this one and he became a devotee. Like this, hundreds and thousands of examples and stories are there, which we hear from the Shastra. And Shastra, sometimes we may feel, oh, it might have happened. But when we discuss or hear about those which has happened in the present day, that will be very amazing. And what to speak of anyone else? If you see in our own life, we can also see, although there may be, we may say there is so much of anartha, but still compared to a few years before when he came to Krishna consciousness, at least there is slight amount of change. And that should give us the hope that yes, if I take more seriously, then I can become more purified and I can also experience the same joy what all the others have experienced. And that hope should make us become more and more stronger. And as Prabhupada in the verse, Prabhupada is writing that the spiritual life is not just a theory or something, it is a vijnana. Vijnana means it is verifiable. The same way, science means when you put any theory into practice and it can be verifiable. The same way, when we apply the teachings, what is given by our acharyas, then we can see it is pratyakshavagam dharmyam. It can be directly seen, experienced. So these are few points which I just wanted to share. Just to end with, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord is so merciful. that one or two verses I'll just read, which can give us more hope. Even all of us have the mm, uh, desire to enjoy sense gratificatory things are there. Some like we may be like no uh, hankering for something fruity things or to mukti kami, whatever it is. But when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, Lord is so merciful, which we can see in these few verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is a Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. कृष्ण कहे आम भजे मागे विषय सुख अमृत चाड़ी विष मागे ए बड़ा मूर्ख. Krishna tells, if anyone engages in my transcendental loving service but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. So as a practicing sadhaka, we have a desire that I should become more and more purified. I want to become better devotee. But at the same time, our anarthas, previous uh, whatever the activities what we have done, that the tendencies that pulls us down again and again. That way we are in. We go 2 steps ahead, again we come 1 or 2 steps back. That is a challenge which keep happening. But the Lord is merciful, although we have that. But when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, Lord says, Ami Vidnyaye Murkhe Vishaya Kene Deva Swacharnamrita Diya Vishaya Bhulaiba. Although we may be dull fools, but Lord says, since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of my shelter, of my lotus feet, and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. And that is the only hope, that although we may be having a lot of desires, but if we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, that only can pull us back again and again. He mercifully can engage us in his service. And the devotees, what they do is nothing but that only. Although we may want to run away from the devotees or from the Lord, but they mercifully again and again try to pull us some way back. Only thing is that we may keep resisting, but devotees never give up. And if we agree to be pulled by their loving this one, who are eager to engage us in the service of the Lord, then we can get more and more benefited. So that's what Srila Prabhupada also did, that people wanted to gratify their senses, enjoy, but Prabhupada would again and again, Prabhupada never left them. Even if somebody had difficulties or whatever, Prabhupada again engaged them in the service. So the same way we are also very fortunate that we have Narahari Chaitanya Prabhu, who is so always meditating on how to engage all the devotees and how to make this new temple so that more and more devotees can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Then we also agree to be, we have to choose. Either we controlled by the devotees or we get controlled by the Maya. Either of the two. We can never be the controllers. So, but when we get controlled by the devotees, then they engage us in the service of the Lord. That way we can become purified and come closer and closer to the Lord. So thank you very much. I pause here. If any corrections, reflections, comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Swayam Prakash Pr, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for a very nice and wonderful class. You have summarized it, but I just want to repeat it for my own understanding. I think you started the class with the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord and the glories of those who have taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and also the glories of the one who has actually taken the shelter of those who have taken shelter of the Lord. So you have given a beautiful analogy of the Ganges water, how it, though it is polluted with industrial and domestic pollution, but still people, when they are taking bath, they are both cured of both the material disease and also the sinful reactions. Uh, Similarly, those who have taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, or those who have uh, the other few devotees, they are also absolved of their sinful activities. And also, you explained the pastime of Vamanadev, and how Mother Ganga actually washed the lotus feet of the Lord. And also, you explained with some practical insight, if if it is so glorious, if all of us have taken shelter of the few devotees and the acharyas, so why it takes time to for our purification? So you have given so many analogies, like the mirror, the car, windshield, and then the kitchen wall dirt. You have shared all the realization, and because these anarthas are accumulated over millions and millions of lifetimes, and it really takes time, and we should be patient and engaged in the process of devotion service. So, and also you have explained the greatness of the spiritual master. They have given shelter at their lotus feet, and wish you righteousness. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. It was wonderful class. Now I would request the devotees to share any reflections or questions they may have.
Hare Krishna, Swayam Prakash Pr, Dandavat Pranam. Wonderful, bro. Very nectarian. One important point I liked it is that give space to others, which I find it difficult many times. Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. I really like that the particular analogy, as Prabhu had said, about not giving even that space in a train, right? And how merciful are our acharyas who take so much discomfort for our comfort, our future comfort. That was really, very touching. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Actually, it is not my example. It is Damodar Pro from Chopati. He was taking one class on, I think, the Rath Yatra, the Gundicha Marjan. That time he gave this example. It was really like very striking that it's practically we can, like we might have come across such situations so many times, or even we keep traveling the time. So that way, it is his realization. I just shared. Yes, but it's really very.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna devotees, any other questions, comments, realization? We have 2 minutes of time for one question. We have. Prempriya Radhika Mataji has mentioned in the comment, thank you very much for a wonderful class with wonderful examples. Saraswati Machaji has commented, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, thanks for the nice class. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, I think there are no questions. We can end the class with Vaishnava Pranam Prabhuji.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha sindhubhya eva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta
Vaishnavebhyo
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai,
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll meet again at 8 a.m. for thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna. I'll end the Zoom session here.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.